All right, afternoon, guys. Always seem to be running around on a Monday. I've just come back from the hospital where we had to do some scans on some players today. So we've had a busy day. From the weekend, 3 main injuries. The first one was Willem Alberts, who we took off as part of our head injury assessment protocol, which is the new protocol that the IRB's instituted to determine if a player is concussed. He took a knock to his head. He was complaining a little bit of dizziness, and we took him off for the assessment and made the confirmation that he was actually concussed, and that's why we didn't put him back on the field. He's doing well at the moment. He's asymptomatic. We've got a standard return to play protocol that he needs to complete before we can clear him to play on the weekend. So he's busy with that process at the moment, and we'll make a decision on his availability later in the week if he gets through that protocol. The other 2 players was Flip van der Merwe. Right in the last couple of minutes of the game, he actually hyperextended his knee, got tackled and bent his knee backwards. Unfortunately, the scans show today that he's actually ruptured his posterior cruciate ligament, which will rule him out of the game this weekend. We'll be sending him up to a specialist in Pretoria just to determine the appropriate management for him going forward. And then the other one was Beast, also in a tackle. He took a knock to the top of his head. Complained of some neck stiffness after the game, and I wasn't happy with his symptoms. He had a scan today, and unfortunately he's got a cervical disc, so he's got a little disc bulge in his neck. It means he can't play on the weekend. We will be sending him to a specialist in Durban to have a look at him and decide the appropriate way to manage him going forwards. So that was my busy weekend and day today.
Doc, just a flip knee, how long do you think he could be out for?
It really depends. There's 2 ways of managing it. One is conservatively, it's where we just strengthen the muscles around the knee, in which case he'll be out for 4 weeks. The other option is a surgical option, which would leave him out for much longer. So that's why we're getting up to see the specialist in Pretoria and make that decision. Generally, the older players we treat conservatively, the younger ones we'll actually operate on. So that's the decision that will be made with Flip and the specialist, and obviously with the Bulls as well, in terms of the best way forward for him.
And Tendai, in terms of period?
It's difficult to say at this stage. He's obviously got an acute disc. We need that to settle down, and that's why we're going to send him to the specialist in Durban to have a look at him and decide the best way forward for him.
Doc, Heineken mentioned fatigue among players. From your side, your thoughts on the condition of the players at the moment? Are they tired?
Yeah, look, there's no doubt the guys have played a lot of rugby. I mean, Super Rugby is high intensity rugby. You're playing every week. It's almost like test match rugby, so they're coming from that straight into this inbound window. So they are playing a lot of rugby. We always knew that would be the case. The schedule is what it is. So, we've tried to manage the players as best we can. It's not only about playing on the weekends, but it's also trying to manage their training load. So if we can modify the training load, particularly those players who played a lot of rugby, we can try and get that load down a little bit. But the schedule is what it is, and we have to adapt to that.
It might sound like a bit of a loaded question. Are you happy with the way the provinces or the Super Rugby franchises are working with you in terms of this, in terms of conditioning and keeping the guys fresh? Because at the end of the day, the Springbok rugby is the more important part.
Yeah. Look, it's always difficult, and it's been an ongoing issue between club versus country. I'll reiterate my previous point that it's not only in the games where the players need to be managed, but they need to be managed during the week in terms of training load. And I think all the franchises are very good at that. They know players who've had heavy workload, particularly in a game or a lot of contact in the game, are managing the guys early in the week, giving them some time off their legs and that sort of thing. In the end, they're also out there to try and win every game. They want to have their strongest team, so it's a tricky situation to try and balance.
Doc, Monitz and Corsi, are they ready to play this weekend?
Monitz is fine. We've cleared him to play. He's over that ankle sprain. Goose is still in his final phases of rehab in terms of his knee. We're happy where he is. He needs to get through a couple of training sessions this week before we can say he's cleared to play.
But you feel, you said you're happy with his progress, so you feel he should be able to...
Yeah, he did a full training session on Wednesday last week. We came through that nicely, so we're happy with his progress.
And has Adriaanse joined up with the guys, and what's his physical state? Obviously, the lot better.
Yeah.
Is he ready?
No, he arrived. He joined us this morning. He's looking good. Not so fresh, a bit jet lagged. Asked for a sleeping tablet or 2 for tonight, but otherwise well. No injury concerns and ready to go.